right. There we go. All right. Let me plug this in. Can everybody hear me? All right. Will you guys just leave a comment if you can hear me, so I know everything's working right? When you jump on, let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna turn this on too. Let's throw TikTok in the mix. All right. Yes, you can hear me. Chase, thank you. How are you? I'm a loan officer. Let's connect. Lending with LaRocco. How's the lending business right now? I know we're at a kind of a standstill on the commercial side. The debt market is, it's pulled back, severely pulled back. Everybody can hear me? Would you want to purchase an investment property in SoCal? Wait, hang on. I got too many comments coming in. Would you want to purchase a property in SoCal or the Bay Area? Okay, we purchase a lot of multifamily, and right now it's all in SoCal. There's people that get it, and there's people that think we're nuts. The people that think we're nuts are I mean, there's a part of it I totally understand, because doing business in California is very hard. It's, it takes forever. It's expensive. I understand why a lot of investors go elsewhere. But it's interesting because it's also created the opportunity we're in. If you're looking at it through the lens of an investor, which is an investor ultimately is always trying to find demand, or even an entrepreneur, a demand for a product or a demand for a service. And when the state makes it so difficult to do business, and there's still so many people wanting to live here, and then when you consider population growth, there's just not enough. And when there's not enough, rents go up and prices go up. So I think it's created an opportunity. And I would say the other thing, like when I'm thinking about investing, when I'm thinking about starting a business, I naturally try to find or head in a direction that other people either aren't heading in or are running from. Like, I've always thought that if you're doing what everybody else is doing, then there's no opportunity in that. I get it because it's comfortable. It's definitely comfortable going where everyone is, but that's not where the opportunity is. The opportunity is usually where everyone's running from. So we do invest here with all that said. It's not easy to invest here. I think you need to know what you're doing, but we do invest here. I'm going to turn TikTok. Let's go live on TikTok. Oh, where am I on Instagram? There we go. Okay. No, come on. Just go live. That's all. Just trying to go live. Thank you. All right, we'll throw TikTok. Where should we throw TikTok? Right here? That's a good spot for it. All right. Let's see. What is the salary to live comfortably in Los Angeles? That's a good question. And it totally depends. I think it depends on if you're single or if you have a family. Making $100,000 a year in Los Angeles does not feel like that much. I made a video not that long ago on how far your dollar goes based on each state. California is brutal. I mean, it's incredibly expensive to live here. So it's hard to say like what you need to make to live, because part of that is subjective. You have kind of, just base necessities. You have wanting to actually go out and do things, enjoy life, and then you add a family on and it gets expensive. So I don't know. I don't know what the actual answer to that is, but I think making less than $100,000 a year living in LA, it feels like you're broke. That's insane to say. I have a great scrape in Oceanside available. Are you interested? The DJ Maz, we are full right now. How could I say this? We're saying no to a lot of good projects because we can't raise money fast enough for the projects that we have. We have really good projects. So we're kind of saying no, unfortunately, just because of a capacity issue. But I do like the area. I do like San Diego. San Diego, another city, severely undersupplied. How do we get people to stop moving to Florida? I think actually, I don't think you're going to see any more like big bump. I think you'll see just more of a normalization of population growth. To me, and look, I'll say this, and you guys, I'll refresh the comments to hear what you guys think. But I think the majority of movement happened because of lockdowns. I think a lot of people went, the states that are locking down, I don't want to be here, and I want to go to states that are open. And why you saw such a big outpour into places like Florida and Texas and Idaho, et cetera. It feels like that has settled, I think. Now that other states that were, lockdown heavy are open, now I think it comes into more of your, let me see how I could say this. Now I think you're making the normal considerations that you were probably making pre-pandemic, which were how expensive is it to live here? If you're a business owner, is this a good place to do business? And then I think in a lot of areas still the politics are driving it. But I think we're going to see somewhat of a normalization. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that's true? Do you guys think a lot of the movement happened because of lockdown specifically? And now that everywhere's open, do you think it's more of the normal considerations? And if so, are you expecting migration to be not so? Those are huge numbers we saw. Before I answer any other questions, I want to see what you guys think. What is the best thing to buy? I saw a big one here. Who is Mikey Taylor writing for? Not writing for anybody, but I'm actually talking to a couple people that it would actually look like a sponsorship, I think, but it's not skate related. Let's see if TikTok has any opinions on it. TikTok, do you guys think people are going to keep moving around like they were during the lockdowns? If you're okay, I don't have any opinions on this. Are you open to more speaking engagements? Home Loan by Kira. I actually do a pretty good amount of speaking engagements. Maybe, I don't know. I do about 12 a year. I really enjoy speaking engagements. I really like being on stage talking to people. It reminds me of back when I was a pro skateboarder skating contests. Like there's something fun about being out with everybody and then, having to prepare for something and then present it. And it's nervous in the beginning. I really like that. So yes, if you want to talk about an upcoming event and you're looking for a speaker, you want to consider me, shoot me a DM or email Tawny, TAWNY @communecapital.com. Okay, so here's some of the responses to what I just said. Taxes are the reason why there's big migration. People are following the business. That's true. California state taxes, very expensive. You are my favorite skater. Are you open? Dang, okay, here we go. Do you feel that the MLS limits marketing ability because of the harness for being creative? Yes and no. So I need to be careful with this one. I don't sell real estate. A lot of my friends do. If I did sell real estate, the way I would do it would be by building my brand on social media, not using social media to necessarily sell the home. Like you see a lot of realtors. If anybody's a realtor on here, let me know. You see a lot of realtors when they use social media, all they do is put photos of the houses they're selling. I actually don't think that's a good way to sell homes. I understand that that's maybe from a common sense standpoint what you should do, but if I were selling homes, I would be building a brand on every single platform. And I would either be creating content around basically homes. Like you see these videos, you know the videos I do on how much you need to make to buy a $600,000 home or a $500,000 home. Those videos, I've done maybe, I don't know, 8 of them. If you look at all the views collectively out of those 8 videos, I mean, they've got to have 25, 30 million views on them, right? So I would do videos that are kind of general information. And then I would have a landing page where I basically drive people to a landing page to work with me, right? And then that's how I would be funneling my basically network to then sell homes or sell product to. I'd either do it that way, the informational way, to then build relationships or build brand presence, or 2, I'd walk people through the process. That's something that I actually really enjoy, that you see a lot of like younger, I say they're kids, they're not kids anymore, 20s, but you see a lot of people that are getting started, and it's, you know, take this, how would you say this? It's like they're taking the audience with them through their journey. This is my first day as a real estate agent. I'm trying to figure this out. Man, this is brutal. I did a showing. No one showed up, right? They're taking people through the process. That builds a brand. People resonate with that. And then once you have people following you, I think it's easier to then sell product to. So the MLS, that wouldn't even be my source. I would be doing everything through social. Templeton. If anybody doesn't follow Templeton, Templeton is a real one. And he's a savvy business owner. And he's just stopping by to say, what's up? Templeton, my man. Hopefully I'll be in Arizona soon. I want to see you. Realtor side, I sell 200 plus a year as a realtor and market me instead of the specific home. Look at this. People are investing into you and your ability to help the specific need. Templeton just said in 4 lines what took me 5 minutes to say. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Mikey, I met you in Tahiti a few years ago. What is your thought about French Polynesia? Tahiti was awesome. Tahiti was so fun. I loved going there. I really did. Yes, we are golfing. We 100% are. I want to just look on TikTok real quick to make sure. Saw you on live with Robert. Great show. Thank you, legend. Southern Values. I appreciate that. Look. Realtor here, guilty and agreed. Yeah, you know what? For realtors, it's not just realtors. It's everyone has that tendency because it sounds obvious, right? If you show somebody a good product or a good service, in theory, why wouldn't they buy it? It's totally normal to think that. One thing I learned, actually, I'm going to tell you a story from when I was a pro skateboarder, but it's actually very relevant for anybody that wants to sell a business or create a business that sells something. So in skateboarding, in the skateboarding industry, there's not that many wood manufacturers. It's like PS Sticks and Bareback. And then there's a couple in China, but there's really only a couple that make all the boards. When you think about shoes, there's not that much difference in a Nike shoe or an Adidas shoe, right? They're all basically the same product. And when we were skating, like we would have to get so good at the marketing side. Like, you know, when I was a kid, for example, I thought girl skateboards were the best skateboards. I had no clue that like half the other brands out there were the same exact board. It was just a different graphic. I loved girl skateboards and thought they were the best because of the team. When I became pro, that was the thing I had to learn. How do I have people resonate with me or like what I do, like the way I skate, or learn how to market the brand so that they buy this product knowing that all the product is the same. That it's trippy when you think of it that way. But if you constantly keep in mind that people buy from the individual, right? They buy from the person. Think of it like small business. I go to the shops that I enjoy because they do have a good product, but it's the people there. Like that's who you connect with. So don't ever miss out on the opportunity to get to know people, have people get to know you. And when you do that correctly, sales go through the roof. It's just real estate. I see it a lot just because I have a lot of friends in that space. That's a common one. Thoughts on RV parks, glamping resorts versus multifamily properties as investments. Okay, I want to brace everybody who's listening to this, because every time I say it, I have some people that get frustrated, but it's just what I think. I don't like investing in things that are hit really hard during downturns. Like I prefer assets that I know are going to be there when times get tough. And then you look at my investments, I invest in storage and multifamily. Historically, those do really well during downturns. So before I say this, you need to know that that's my bias. I want to have an asset that I don't have to worry about when times get hard, because when times get hard, things go on sale, and that's an opportunity to really capture market share. When it comes to hospitality or anything vacation, right? Hotels, RVs, boats, second homes, Airbnbs, people stop using those and start selling them when times get hard. When times get hard, people pull back their cash. And so I've never wanted to invest in those asset classes because that's a concern of mine. Do I think hospitality is going to get hit? I do. I think hospitality is going to get hit. Do I think it's going to trickle down to Airbnb? I do. I think Airbnb is going to have a really hard time. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to have to sell their homes at a loss. When it comes to storage, even storage like RVs, boat storage, stuff like that, they get hit hard during recessions. They don't go through a recession the same way that like the storage that we're in does. So I would prefer, now everyone knowing my bias, being in multifamily or storage. And really what it comes down to, like we're seeing this right now. Deal flow has gone crazy, right? What I heard over and over and over for 6 years when talking to investors is, I can't wait for a downturn. Like everybody's fighting for such limited deals. Everything's so expensive. I can't wait for a downturn. I can't wait for prices to come down. And then all of a sudden prices come down, and they've come down significantly. Now everybody doesn't want to invest for a couple of reasons. One, they've pulled back their capital. Two, they're scared. Or three, they're having to make sure that their investments, their assets are okay as they go through this challenging time. To me, we're missing, you put yourself in a position of potentially missing out on a great opportunity, which is buying all this stuff at discount. So that's my framework. That's how I tend to think of it. So that would be my choice. That would be an easy answer for me because of that. Micro flipping. Hydro, what is micro flipping? Like flipping like little homes? All the mini homes? What do you mean by that? Best place to find a storage facility for sale. All right, I'm going to give everybody a secret right now. I guess it's not a secret, but if you're in the commercial space, you'll like this. Storage has been really saturated for a long time. The amount of deals that we've bought as a business on the storage side have been very, very few. It's been little over the last 5 years. We just haven't been able to find great deals. That's changing. Like the storage, prices have moved. That's an opportunity. Where do you want to buy? Look, you want to make sure that where you're buying, there's not a ton of storage units within like a 1, 3, and 5 mile radius. Like you don't want saturation. Things that I look for in a market, I want major employers, and I want a little bit of diversification in those employers. Why? Because if there's a downturn, I don't want the one major employer to get hit and have to basically pull back, fire a bunch of people, and now people in the neighborhood don't have jobs and they can't pay for something like a storage unit. So I like having diversification inside of the industries. You want population growth. That's a great sign. When you're calling the storage units in the area that you're potentially looking for, you want to know where their occupancy is. You want occupancy high. That means it's not saturated. There's a huge play on efficiency though. Like A lot of mom and pop storage operators manage these things old school. And so with how tech is, you can definitely make the case for your value add being basically bringing in tech to make your management much more efficient and less expensive. That could be the way that you drive your net operating income up. So I think there's an opportunity there. What I would say though is I'm concerned. I don't know if this is going to pan out, but I'm concerned that the second the Fed brings rates down, you're going to see money flood storage and multifamily. I actually am like really starting to think that this window to buy is actually going to be pretty small or pretty short in the sense of time frame. And so if it is, make sure you have money now to do this. Raise money now or have your cash ready so that when you find a good deal, you can go after it. Because if the Fed brings rates down and we see all this institutional cash come back in because the fundamentals are there on these asset classes, all the good deals are going to go away. It's going to happen fast. So that's my concern. I shouldn't say it's going to happen fast. My concern is that it's going to happen fast. Thoughts on buying pre-construction? I've never done it before. In theory, I'm not mad at it. It just becomes a price game, really. All right. Any advice on finding real serious buyers as a realtor? Alejandro, the problem right now is just the buyer pool is, well, I'll give you my opinion and let's let everybody answer. If you're wanting to buy a home, you don't own a home, put in the comments what are you feeling right now? Are you excited to buy? Are you looking right now, or have you kind of given up from exhaustion and just how expensive everything is? In my opinion, I don't think there's a strong argument to buy a home right now. I think there's a strong argument in a lot of cases by investment properties, but I'm not totally sold that this is a great time to buy a house. The reason why, I don't think prices can go up over the next 12 months. I think they can only go down. I think it actually could be longer than that. So with where prices are, with where interest rates are, I don't think it makes sense for a lot of people. I don't think the economy is in as good of shape as everyone thinks. I think there's still too much money in the system. I don't really think that there's really been any pain yet, at least the expectation of what that would be or should be. And so I don't know. I don't see the incentive to buy right now. You can make the argument that, yeah, once interest rates go down, everybody's going to buy again, and it's going to be hard to find a home. That's fair. I just don't see that happening relatively soon. So I think it's hard. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that's accurate? Do you think I'm tripping? What do you think? Do you think this is a good time to buy, or are you waiting? And you know what a crazy one is? I saw this today. The demand for an adjustable rate mortgage is up 10%. That is great. I was tripping on that. What's going to date me is it feels like 2008 just happened. I still remember 2008 like it was yesterday. I watched everyone around me lose almost everything. I mean, it was a bloodbath out there. It felt like it was yesterday. It was 15 years ago. So maybe everybody that's buying now has completely forgot about what happened, but I was tripping on that. Okay, bought one over the summer and want another. Hydra, what did you buy? Investment property or home? Buy in areas you don't hear about. Okay, that's fair. Thinking about renting once prices come down and then saving to put down payment on a property to eventually design and build a home. I don't think that's a bad strategy, actually. Like, there's points in the market where it makes sense to buy, it makes sense to rent, and where it's usually like kind of net neutral. I would say like 2017, I don't know, we were probably at a neutral to buy or rent, it was kind of flatlined. Right now, the house that I'm in, rent on the house that I'm in, $4,500 a month. A mortgage on it, probably about $8,000 a month. Why? The incentive is to rent right now. The incentive is not to buy. So I don't know. I don't think that's a bad strategy. Just rent and save. Thoughts on Airbnb bubble bursting in its top 10 cities? Ryan Gork. I have a lot of friends that own Airbnbs, and not all of them did this. So if any of my friends are watching right now, I'm not saying your asset's in trouble. But if we're talking about the total sector, I think Airbnb is going to get smoked. That's my opinion. I think they're going to have a hard time. Why I think that, I have to assume that Airbnb is going to operate like hospitality. We just have never seen a recession since the rise of Airbnb. So my assumption is during a downturn, when times get hard, people don't travel. People don't go on vacations. That's one part. The second part, the hype and energy in 2021, hype, energy, and the amount of cash running around. I think people were in a frenzy to buy Airbnbs. I think everyone jumped in, and it was the perfect storm for acting without thinking, just kind of operating off feeling. And I think too many people got into that asset class that shouldn't have. I think too many people did not underwrite the project on if Airbnb turns and they have to move it into a long-term rental, if the cash flow will support the debt service. I don't think a lot of people did that. And so when times get hard, and let's say a lot of these people bought these properties without running the numbers, Airbnb isn't working, they've got to go into a long-term rental, and they're negative cash flow. I don't think they'll do it for that long before they sell and just go, I'm taking the L. The other thing, and I've heard this from a lot of people, we've had people that have become investors of ours after hearing this, that they got super stoked on Airbnb, they heard about all the money everybody was making, they bought one, and they didn't realize the amount of time it took to manage an asset, even with a third-party manager, right? I've heard this over and over. I hired a third-party manager. I'm paying them like 30% or something psycho. And we're not making that much money, so we're going to manage it ourselves because 30% is crazy, which it is. And then they're like blown away with how much time and energy goes into actively owning real estate. And then they got sick of it. And then they sold and they wanted to invest passively. So I don't know. I'm not totally bullish on it right now. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. My clients are feeling the pain and struggling financially. When does the Fed give in and lower rates? Does the whole system need to crater? The Matt Barba, Matt, what industry are you in? What clients do you have? What needs to happen? I mean, look, the Fed's going to bring rates down. It's just when. Like, I don't know. Those GDP numbers, I didn't think that was a good sign. Like, I think that's a bad sign if the goal is to bring inflation down. The other thing, I saw something today in Q3 data in commercial real estate, like retail is up. Like, retail owners are doing well because basically they're experiencing something similar with multifamily. There's businesses are like thriving, and there's like, I was tripping on that. That is scary in the perspective of inflation. The other thing, like you go back to the 70s, you go back to like the inflation crisis that they dealt with. It's interesting because there are some similarities. There's a similarity in the sense that we tried to bring inflation down. It felt like it was working. There's pressure to basically open things back up, and there's a big presidential election coming up. It's very similar to what happened in the 70s. And so let's just play this out. If you're Joe Biden, President Biden, if you're President Biden and you're running again in 2024, you do not want the economy to crash. That's when you start seeing people vote outside of party lines. When the economy is bad, that is going to move people. So you don't want that to happen. This is very similar to the 70s. And so you got to think, if they keep this up with rates and drive them up to actually bring the economy to the place it needs to be in to bring inflation down, we're talking Volcker status, right? Just freaking savage, fully stepping on the brakes and pulling the e-brake at the same time. That's bad for a presidential election. That's bad for running for an election. So what happened is in the 70s, leading up to the 80s and Volcker coming in, you saw this kind of like, oh, we think inflation's under control, everything's good, and then frickin' spiked. And that's when they drove rates up into the double digits, like gnarly. So to answer your question, my concern is that we're going to play that game, that inflation looks okay right now, that it's going to be very difficult to bring it down to where they want, that everybody's feeling good still and they're spending money, and they're going to have to bring that number down. And the question becomes, will the politicians stop spending? We'll see. We will see. You're probably the most genuine person in real estate. Would love to have the opportunity to work with you in the future. Alejandro, I appreciate you. Look, I love doing business with people, especially good people. Let me know if we're in multifamily and storage. The ways that, I could think of working together. We work by and large with brokers. When we're looking at deals, sometimes people bring us off-market deals or bring us intros directly to an owner. That's always the best. We have relationships with lenders, and so we typically go there first to our group just because we've done business with them for a while. But if I ever get in a situation and they can't find us something, I'm going to talk to other people. And then investors, like we're a private equity firm. So we raise money and talk to a lot of investors. If we can find something to do, or on the marketing side, actually, I love collabs. Like for any business out there, like I am, I'll cross boundaries actually. Like anybody's out here with like a cool brand, I don't care if it's in the financial space. You'd be a sock brand, clothing brand, let's spice it up. Like let's do a collab and let's freak some people out. I tried to get P-Rod to do a collab, Commune Primitive. He was like, I don't get it. That makes no sense. I'm all about that. Like let's make it different. Hey Mikey, any more projects like St. Archer? Okay, any projects like St. Archer that like I'm gonna be the one that's starting them? Not anytime soon. I have my hands full with this business. This Commune Capital it's a harder business than St. Archer. It's more complex. There's more moving parts. It's way more money. So I'm gonna have my hands full here for a good amount of time. I do invest in startups. Some of the industries that I like right now, I really like fintech. I really like prop tech as well. Like those are two that I enjoy. But I'm not driving any right now. But I will say this. I could see in the future. I could see in the future creating a venture arm to Commune Capital. I could definitely see us going out, not leaving commercial real estate, but creating a new vertical and creating a fund that invests in startups. I could totally see that in the future. So I guess maybe that is a good way to answer that question. If I ever do that, I guess I wouldn't be starting the company, but it would now be one of my responsibilities to find entrepreneurs that have great ideas that are starting businesses and then bringing a bunch of investors in to participate in it. We'll see if we do that. The scary part is this time around, history does not repeat itself due to data science we have. Yeah, you know what? History, well, Let me think about this one. There are a lot of differences for sure. Even when you look at this correction versus 2008, like, a lot changed after the financial crisis. Like the fact that banks don't have to just like get all the troubled loans off the books fast, that's a big difference. History repeating itself though, I don't know. A lot of my opinion has changed over the last 3 years. Like there's things that I never would have thought I would see in my lifetime that you're seeing again, which I would have assumed that we would have learned. But I think the difference is it's not the same exact thing. It's a little bit different. And the messaging changes based on the time you're in. And so I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Look at America. Like you could look back throughout history and look at all of the great civilizations that destroyed themselves through growth and borrowing. There's a lot of concerns that we're heading down that same path. So I don't know. We'll see. We will see. Look, you know what I do think? We are living in a fascinating time. Like we definitely were not born in a boring time. Like this is crazy, some of the stuff that we're getting to experience, good and bad. I think AI is going to be a psycho one. And I actually think AI has the potential to actually, in some ways, save America if the way we spend our debt is a I think it's a problem. But the productivity level that AI can create, that could be a game changer. Really could. Do you add people from the East Coast to your team? Well, for our company, anybody on here who's Gen Z, they're not going to like this. We don't do remote. I have one person who works remote. She ended up moving out of California. We love her. We let her work remote, but everybody else is in office. We don't do hybrid. It's Monday through Friday in office. I don't know. For me, look, my personality, I like being around people. Like I love being around people. I'm energized when I'm around people. When it comes to the culture, like I don't know how you maintain culture digitally on Zooms and stuff like that. I don't know how to do that. I know how to do it with people when they're here. I would say the goal, I'd hope that when you work for Commune, you like working here. You look forward to coming each day. Like I want it to be fun. I don't know how to do that on Zoom calls. And so I think because of my personality, we've made it a point that if you're working for Commune, you're working here. Now, if you're willing to move from the East Coast, let's go. Like, I have no problems with that. The other thing, this is what I haven't reconciled. You guys tell me what you think about this. We have people that work for Commune that can't work remote. Like they have to be in office for their job. Then there's other jobs where you don't really need to be in office. Like you can make a really strong argument. Like you're in sales, you don't need to be in office. I haven't figured out a good reason to allow some not to come to office and for some to. I don't know about that. I don't have a good answer for that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I understand like you work remote. Like there's something really cool about that. I don't know. I guess that's just I don't like it. Do you recommend REITs, RC Shores? There's some good things about REITs. The good thing about REITs, the barrier to entry is much smaller. Like for a lot of private offerings, the minimum investment is large. And also for most private offerings, you have to be an accredited investor. So I kind of like that about REITs. You don't need either of those. And then they offer liquidity. That's the other thing. Like when people come to invest with us, one thing we say is that this is an illiquid investment. If you invest with us and something happens and you call me in 5 months and go, I need my money back, I can't guarantee that I can get your money back. But in a REIT, you can get your money back. It does have liquidity. So I think there are good things about REITs. Now, some of the challenges. You get a little bit more tax efficiency with when you're investing in a private offering that offers a K1. I think a lot of times the private offerings perform better. And depending on the size of the firm, I kind of like the idea of meeting the people you're investing in. Like, this is something that we just recently changed. And if you're on here and you're either an investor of ours or you've spoken to one of us, something that we just recently did is we're making it a point that one of the principals of the company is talking to a potential investor. We were kind of going down this path of building out a sales team and having salespeople talk to him. And Michael actually brought it up not that long ago. He was like, you know what? I think it's actually important that if somebody's thinking about investing with us, they're talking to a decision maker. Like, I think that's a good thing. So we're trying that out. Now, it's hard because we're at a point now, we have a lot of leads coming in. We have more leads than we've ever had coming in. And so it gets to a point where you just can't manage it all yourself, and you just have to bring other people on that aren't principals. But that's something we're doing now, and I like it. I think it's cool. First heard the name Mikey Taylor when you were doing your battle commander at the barracks with the hair and the Civic. Crazy to see where you are now. Crazy inspiration. Hydra, I appreciate you. I know I show my kids. I have 4 kids now. I show them photos of me with long hair because I had long hair when we got married, and they can't believe it. Like, I had longer hair than both my daughters have right now. They think it's so funny. What's the minimum ROI a newbie should be targeting for an investment property? All right, Matt, it depends on what you're going after. So think of it like this. The amount of risk that you're taking, you should always see a risk premium. So more risk needs to see more reward. If you're buying a stabilized asset, you don't have to do anything to it. That's, in theory, the safest thing you could buy. It should have a smaller return. And then moving all the way up to what we do, when you're building something, there's more risk to build something than there is buying an existing property. So the return should match. What I tend to tell people is, look at what companies like mine are offering to passive investors. If my company is offering, for a development deal, let's call it a 15% net IRR to investor, right? Let's say that's the return I'm targeting. In my perspective, if you're going to go do something like the strategy we're doing, you need to see significantly more than 15% because you can make that not doing anything. Don't have to find the deals. Don't have to get the financing for them. Don't have to manage them. Don't have to, guarantee a loan. I think it needs to be better than that. So if we're trying to find something like in the middle, let's say you're doing a light value add in, let's call it like let's say a core plus product. Let's say a group can get you, what do you want to call it? 9% IRR, 10% IRR. If I was doing it on my own, I'd have to see 15, 16 or so like that. I'd have to see significantly more upside by me having to do the work. All right, I'm going to do one more question and then I'm going to shoot home. Sorry, I just joined. What is your opinion of small multifamily? Tips on finding a market to invest in? Thanks. Business Funding Boss. Okay. I have no problem with small multifamily. None at all. The market, I would say, I don't like the idea of buying a property in a market because that market's cheap. I don't like that. I like finding a good market, period. And if it's more than I can afford, I'd rather go, how can I figure out a way to afford this? Can I bring people in? So when you're finding a market, you want to find a market that is not saturated. Start calling property managers. I did this in 2017 before when we were calling when we were starting Commune. I really liked Georgia. I really liked Atlanta, Georgia. I had no relationships in Atlanta. I didn't know anyone out there. And I started calling property managers that were managing multifamily apartments out there. And I had a whole list of questions I was asking them. And basically what I said, my name's Mikey Taylor. I'm looking to start investing in Atlanta, Georgia. I do not know the market well. I know that the name of the game is having a good team, boots on the ground that know the market. And I want to interview you to see if you'd be a good fit for what I'm about to do out there. And I'd interview them. And some of the things I'd ask is, how many assets are you managing out there? What's the occupancy, average occupancy? What are rents? What's rents done over the last 10 years? I'm trying to ultimately figure out is occupancy high and has rents been going up? Beyond that, what we usually do is we usually do a market study. We want to know some of the key figures in a certain market. We want population growth. We want good local economy, good major employers. We want diversification of those employers. We typically look for markets that are harder to build. We kind of like the idea that when the barrier is high, your competition is kind of pushed out for you. And then once you find the market you want to be in, seriously, I think this is a really good thing for everyone to know. Buy an investment because it's a good investment. Don't buy it because you can afford it. Sometimes taking a free investment, a free apartment, is not worth it. So I think it's always good to ask yourself how would I say this? Don't just buy based on the dollars you have. That means there's no real opportunity there. There's a lot of people that will come into a deal with you. Start bringing them together for it. All right, everybody. I hope you guys all had a great Wednesday. Thank you for spending time with me. I am going to jump off, see the family. I'm around tomorrow. If you guys want to jump on live, I'll do it again. All right, later, everybody. Uh-oh. That brought me to